All right. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us your name and your role at the police station.
Okay, my name is Chris Hsuing. My role is a lieutenant of the police department, and I'm currently overseeing our social media efforts for the city and the department. Well, actually, more of the department, less of the city.
Okay, great. So what I wanted to talk about today was an app that my group and I were developing in a class at Stanford. So one of the things we noticed that the police station obviously does is you guys are tracking large trends of people moving around. So, for example, one use case we thought of was concerts at Shoreline. So when a big concert goes on, obviously you have a lot of people, and that's a tough situation to deal with because you have to figure out both the implications at Shoreline as well as the surrounding area. So that's obviously a difficult problem. And right now, I imagine it's done a lot based off intuition and experience of the police officers as opposed to any hard data.
Mhm.
So what our app is doing is collecting data specifically through social media about the locations of people. And what it's doing is scraping these social network sites and in real time displaying where the largest population densities are in the surrounding area. So, for example, during Shoreline, it would show that a bunch of people are in the amphitheater and just kind of where the large groups of people are around that.
Right.
Um, so what we imagine the value that that would provide to the police station is that the police station would be able to better staff certain areas and to see exactly where people are during a concert or something similar to that. So that would be kind of a real-time side to it. Now, the
Okay.
side we think could be even more exciting to the police force would be having this data aggregated and then being able to see trends over time. So, for example, you would be able to play back exactly what happened throughout the whole day on a big concert day. So you'd be able to see, around 7 p.m. people started arriving
Right.
Castro Street and they started flooding the bars there, and then they moved towards the concert. So we think that being able to have this data over time and seeing trends as to how people move could provide a kind of new insight to the police force that's currently probably done based on intuition and experience.
Right.
And now you could add a kind of a hard data aspect to that.
Right.
Um, how do you see a technology like this possibly integrating into the police station? Is this something that would be immediately helpful? Is this something that there isn't particular a need for? How do you see this being helpful at this point?
I think it's huge. It's kind of funny. I never realized the lack of that. Like I didn't know what I didn't know until you mentioned kind of what it could potentially do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the you're right. We go by intuition, experience. Most of the times we staff a concert, it's always based on the last year when the similar artist came,
Right.
and we look at traffic patterns and just shotgun coaching. It would be really interesting to see the actual data, to interpret that and just play it back, not necessarily in real time, but just kind of sped up and seeing how effective our traffic posts are. When you were
Right.
talking, two different apps that we currently use came to mind.
Okay.
One is I don't know if you've heard of Bing Maps.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so are you aware of the Twitter overlay that Bing has on that?
I am not.
Okay, so if you go to Bing Maps and then you drop down the apps tab, there's a Twitter option. You pick that, and basically anyone who's sharing their location and tweeting, it just kind of sends it up to the cloud and it overlays
Okay.
over Bing Maps. And it's for us, it's we're not as interested in reading people's tweets as sometimes the police ramification of that is, let's say there was a big accident or a shooting.
Right.
Everyone is going to
Yeah.
post, and we start seeing clusters coming up. So at the concert, we tried it a
Right.
couple times just to see, and it is interesting. I mean, you will see it's a pared down version of what you're describing, but it's kind of the what are people talking about and how dense is their concentration, in a certain geographic area.
Okay.
So that's one.
Yeah. Totally.
the other one, I just actually happened upon it this last week at a conference. It's Uber, Uber.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with it?
Hmm? Sorry,
Uh,
your voice scrubbed for a little bit.
okay, are you familiar with the app Uber?
No, I know that it's a local startup around here.
Okay, so I actually used it for the first time, and it's geolocated kind of a taxi service or a those town cars
Oh,
that come.
right. Yep.
So that was fascinating because I as a customer, if I hit I want to ride, it goes and on a map shows me where the closest rides are, right, and then
Yep.
it texts the driver of the closest one and dispatches them to me. So I started thinking, well, how would that apply to police work? Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
and that's interesting from the standpoint of, if someone was signed on and they wanted to report something, I think it'd be neat for the public to see, oh, where's the closest cop and how long is it going to take for the cop to get to my house?
Yeah, that's really
I mean,
cool.
there's clearly privacy implications and officer safety implications. We don't want to tell people where we are all the time, but
Yep.
it's one of those brainstorming things that I thought of. So, I mean, I'll just throw those two ideas out to you, and I don't know if that helps or hurts or.
No, that's really cool. The especially the Bing Maps with the footer overlay is interesting. I wasn't aware of that. It's definitely something similar to what we're trying to accomplish. But that's really cool. So I guess the final question would be: how do you see kind of these data-driven solutions affecting police work in the future?
Well, that's huge. I think it's definitely the way of the future. I mean, data and data mining, it kind of creeps into almost every aspect of our life. I mean, everything we're sold and phones, it's all based on data. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
for law enforcement to overlook that or not even think it's relevant would be a huge mistake.
Right.
Uh, the trick, I think, for law enforcement is to know how to get to the data and how to parse it, and then how to kind of how does it make sense in day-to-day police work. The
Mm-hmm.
problem also is we'll have 1,000,001 vendors who are willing to do that for us, but it's for crazy amounts of money.
Right.
And it's just like, they could probably deliver on it, but if we were to, ask or buy whatever it is they're selling, we go bankrupt pretty fast. So,
Mm-hmm.
we get the huge companies that do have those resources and can aggregate the data and stuff. Well, that's great, they're in the profit making business. But on the police side, I think there's a huge vacuum of I don't know if you want to call it the common man's kind of police data aggregation type of service or app.
Right. Very cool. All right. Well, I really appreciate you talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully I'll see you later. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
If you have any other questions, just let me know.
All right.